You're watching and listening to the latest Red and Blue review show. For all your Crystal Palace related chat, please like and subscribe across all the usual social media platforms, especially our YouTube channel. This really helps us out. Now, let's get on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and a very warm welcome to the Red and Blue Review. My name is Nick Philpott. I'm your host this week. Ian Noble will be your host next week. Good luck to you all. And I'm shortly going to be joined by a wonderful panel of people and Ian Noble. And we will be covering the Liverpool victory at Anfield the other day and obviously the Brentford game. Starting off with Yasmin. Good afternoon or good evening, Yas. How are you?
Evening, Nick. Yeah, I'm okay. Thanks. You?
Yeah, good. Oh, lovely to have you back on again. James Cannon, Sir Jim. The
good evening.
Hello, mate.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, really well, really well. Thank you for coming on as usual. And Lord Noble, good evening, mate. No, don't look out the side of your eyes like I'm going to give you a whole load of grief. How are you, my friend?
Good evening, Nick. Do you know what? There's nothing like a good introduction. And that was nothing like a good introduction.
See, you're already starting.
Listen, I'm fine. I'm really good. I'm really good. Good evening to you. Good evening to Yaz and to Jim and to everyone watching. Good to see so many people joining us in the chat tonight.
Which I'm sure you'll keep an eye on during the course of the evening. I can see everybody going through there already. Tom, I know you're there, so I'll kick off the show if you don't mind. Ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to our Instagram account that Tom Clark Samuel has asked me to remind you about. Good evening, Simon. Good evening, everybody else. Our Instagram address, I'm sure, will come up on screen at some point during the evening. But please make sure you join it and share it and do whatever you do on that social media platform that I have nothing to do with. There it is. Look, right there. Thank you. As if by magic. So, as I say, this evening we're going to be talking about the fantastic victory at Anfield, even though they decided to put out a bunch of school kids. And the manager got absolutely pelted for it. Their manager got absolutely pelted for it. And is it disrespectful? We're going to talk about that shortly. And obviously, yesterday, and we're going to cover yesterday's game, which I think was against a tricky opposition in Brentford. I think we played well. I think it was a good game. I want to talk to you all about the atmosphere in the stadium yesterday, because I thought it was a slightly different atmosphere. Maybe I'm reading things wrong, but we'll come to that when we cover the Brentford game later on. So to start off with, I think what we'll do is we'll start off with the lineup for the Liverpool game, please, Nigel, if you'd be so kind. And then I'm going to hand over to Ian. There you go, Ian.
Yeah, well, I think it's Yaz that's doing this one, but I don't mind having a quick chat about the team right at the top of the show. Clearly, he went strong again, didn't he, with the team selection, which is what we were expecting. We found out after the game that the decision to rest Jean-Philippe Mateta from the start was a toss-up between him and Ismail Assar. He decided to play Sarr and rest Mateta and play Eddie Nketiah. Sosa came in because he missed out on the European tie instead of Tariq Mitchell. And JD Camvo got a start instead of Chris Richards, who was injured. And Benitez, international goalkeeper, replaced Dean Henderson in goal. So, I think it's a strong lineup, but a few changes and the kind of team that you would expect to see Crystal Palace put out in a Carabao Cup tie, for sure. And as you're going to cover the game, you were in the ground. What was the reaction at Anfield when you saw the team?
So, when we saw our team, I think we thought that was right. That's what we probably would have done, because obviously we have to rest some players at some point anyway. The reaction to the Liverpool team, however, was a bit different, because we knew that he would rest players. That was obvious. And but what we didn't know is how many he was going to rest. Sorry, I just had to spray something to stop the dog.
I thought that was Nick.
I was going to say your husband.
Sorry, guys. So then when we saw how weak he was going, it kind of felt a bit like, oh, there's going to be a lot of pressure on us now, because if we don't win it for some reason, that's going to look really bad. So we kind of felt a bit pressured. Nick?
Yeah, I want to ask an open question to just not you, but the panel as well. Was that disrespectful to A, the Carabao Cup, and B, Crystal Palace? I think we can beat this Palace mob with our teenagers, which is what. Jim, your thoughts, please. Was that disrespectful?
No. You could say he's disrespecting you in the sense that maybe he thought he could beat you, but I don't really think that. He said that you could look at it 2 or 3 different ways, I suppose. Should he have put a really strong side to see if they could start winning some games because they've not done that well lately? Or the other fact is they've got loads of games like us coming up, and he wanted to. I mean, he's probably thinking that his reserves and some of the youth team players would maybe do a bit better. But they did have 5 internationals out there. So as much as it was a weakened team, we had 5 players out, I think, from the game before. So, yeah, I think he was probably – I get the feeling he didn't think he was going to win it because we're a decent side, and it was just a case of giving some of his fringe players a run out.
Ian – we haven't mentioned the Walton situation. We understand he had a bit of a stomach problem before on the way up there. He did travel, was my understanding.
Yeah.
But obviously, we also had Sarr in the team. If we are Aston Villa's bogey team, surely Ismaila Sarr is Liverpool's bogey striker, is he not? Is he not?
I mean, it was yesterday in the Premier League. It was a battle of the teams that can't beat Crystal Palace, wasn't it? Liverpool v Villa in the Premier League yesterday. But yeah, Adam Wharton travelled, but was taken sick en route apparently, which is why he didn't feature. And of course, we know he didn't play yesterday either. But I think where our Slot got his team selection wrong wasn't necessarily in the first 11 that started the game, but with his bench. Because when they're behind 2-0 at half time, he's got literally nobody to bring on to change the game. So if he'd had Ekitike, Verts or Salah on the bench, he could have brought them on and used them to try and affect the game and obviously try and win it and get back into it. But he didn't have those players. So he made the second half really easy for us. We just didn't have to really get out of second or third gear in the second half, which we'll come to later. But that's where he made a mistake, I think. I felt a bit sorry for, I don't think I'd ever hear myself say this, but I felt a bit sorry for Liverpool fans that have paid their good money to be there in the ground, to see a team of reserves in essence, and then without the quality players to come off the bench to change things for them. But anyway, this is a Crystal Palace podcast, not a Liverpool podcast. We should focus on our own team, really, more than the opposition. But I think psychologically, Yaz, do you think that the players didn't start the game so well? Because that's what Glasner said, and we saw that. We're going to come to that. Do you think psychologically they didn't start the game so well because of the players that they were facing out there?
Yeah, it could have been that. I mean, it could have been that, they thought they would beat them easily and they kind of didn't step up at first. I mean, I think the first 15 minutes, we were a bit like, oh no, we were laughing at their team and now the joke might be on us. But then, after that, I think the experience started to tell as the game went on, and especially in the second half, where, as you say, there was literally no one for them to bring on that was going to give them any experience or real quality, really.
Strength in depth, none at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I just wanted, I know it's not a Liverpool one, but their goalkeeper was Freddie Woodman, who used to be in our academy. And obviously his dad, we know. In fact, when he came over, I was like, we like your dad, but we don't like you because he's playing for Liverpool. But and he's a Palace fan, so maybe we can let him off a bit. And he did let in 3 for us, so that's good. Okay, so at the beginning, obviously, we didn't start as well as we had hoped. They did have a couple of shots. I think it was 23 minutes where they should have had the lead from Chiesa, but he shot over the goal. And then following that is when we started to step up and take control of the game. And it was 41 minutes that Sarr scored the first of his goals. So I think there's a couple of players who did really well that night. It was Kamada, Pino and Sarr all did really well, I felt, in the midfield. And it was Kamada that passed it to Munoz. who was then tackled by Gomez, and the ball went into the path of Sarr, thankfully, and he put it into the bottom right-hand corner. And of course, cue his celebrations. Just to mention the atmosphere there at the ground, it was pretty much like a library from the olden days, because I think libraries these days are quite lively. There was hardly any cheering. I mean, even our end was pretty quiet for us, but amongst the crowd at Anfield, you could have heard a pin drop at times.
Do you think that was because obviously it's not all the season ticket holders there? Yes, and there was a stadium full of tourists.
Yeah, I think that does have something to do with it. I know that the points that they needed to get tickets were much lower than usual, so you had a lot of people who wouldn't usually be there. And I guess some people were saving their money for other games, I suppose. But yeah, it was quite flat in the ground, I would say. And then just before half time, we scored a brilliantly worked goal. And this was Sarr's second goal, and it was Kamada again who passed it to Sarr. And he passed to Pino, and then he passed back to Sarr, who then chipped over and it's not Andy Woodman. Yeah, from where we were standing, we were at the other end, but it just looked brilliant from where we were standing. Just the whole work, the whole team.
Right, I'm going to stop you there if you don't mind, because I want to talk about that goal in particular. Jim, well taken goal, really well taken. In fact, it's super bit of football. I was saying, I really wish I could say what I want to say about the press's reaction to it, because you never heard anything. The only person I saw, Gary Lineker's podcast. Who does he have on there with him? Who's your fellow jock? Anyway, whoever it is, they were saying what a wonderful goal on there. I've never heard it mentioned in any of the press. I never see it mentioned on the TV. That was a wonderfully worked goal, was it, Jim?
Yeah, it was a lovely move, all one-touch football, and a great finish. But you got to remember, somebody at football yesterday said to me, "I bet we'll be on last on the match of the day." And I went, "No, we can't be." And then I was looking at the scores, and I thought, well, there's a 3-0 and a 3, so they'll be on first. Then I saw the 1-0, and I thought, well, they're going to be on last. Who's on last? Crystal Palace. And they don't enlarge on it. Even if you look at Sky Sports and you look at all the goals, just the headlights. The Palace game, as soon as the last goal scored, they finish it. When it's Arsenal, they showed you another 10 moments afterwards of different things. So I think it's just maybe the press don't like Crystal Palace.
Ian, talk to me about that goal. I mean, I thought it was a beautifully well-worked goal. Kamada, I thought, as Yaz has already alluded to, stepped up at that game. I think he had another decent game yesterday. Very well worked. I like this direct ball in from just outside the centre circle into the front line a little bit. Instead of going down the channels, it changes it up, going straight through the lines to Sarr.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you used the word there, play through the lines, and that's exactly what we did. You know, great crisp passing. It's quick, it's slick, and there's precision to it. And you know, I think it doesn't matter who's got a red shirt on in front of them, whether it's a first team player or one of their reserves. We cut through them a bit, knife through butter, and it was a great finish. And the goals came quite quick, didn't they, in succession? I hadn't quite realised that. I was in a pub watching it locally down in East Sussex, and I missed the worst bit. I missed the first 15, 20 minutes. I won't tell you why, you don't need to know. But anyway, when I got in the pub, and I had to then persuade them to put the Liverpool game on because they had Arsenal Brighton on and Newcastle Spurs or something. So I managed to get the game on, and obviously from then we started playing quite well. So I'll take some credit for that. How well we played, and I did feel for you, Yaz, up there in the rain. And the rain, oh my goodness, biblical, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But 2-0 at half time, there's some breathing space, and they must have felt great going in, mustn't they, at half time on the back of that goal?
Yeah, definitely. And so,
sorry, Yaz, were you getting wet in your position? Because I thought it was covered.
It was covered. Yeah, no, we were fine. It was just, when you could hear it, you could really hear it coming down, you could see it. And in the second half, they were saying, "Oh, call it off or whatever." But I thought, well, no, we don't want to come back up again. Took us 6 hours to get there anyway.
Well, one thing we don't need is another bloody fixture. You're right.
No.
I did think that for a moment. I thought, why'd they call this off with 15 minutes to go? It's never going to happen. But yeah.
No. So Sarr has 7 goals in 9 games against Liverpool, but that includes Watford games. So he definitely likes playing against them.
That's a good stat. I didn't realise that. I didn't realise as many as that. That's good.
Yeah. So then at half time, we saw JP warming up, and we were a bit, because obviously we didn't realise that Eddie was injured, and we were sort of chatting and saying, "Oh, he hasn't done much at half, but I don't think he deserved to be subbed off, quite so soon." And then it sort of fed through later that Eddie was injured. But yeah, so JP came on at half time, and then we almost scored in 49 minutes. And then I think the game was pretty much, flat. And as you say, they didn't have many people to bring on. They brought on quite a few people, none of whom we've really heard of. And one who came on was an 18-year-old, Amara Nallo, and he was sent off on the 80th minute for a professional foul on Justin Devaney. And obviously from where we were, we thought, because it was right in front of us, we thought it was a clear red card.
Isn't that the guy? Yeah, I think he made one other appearance, and that was a European game, and he got sent off on that as well. Is that the same fella?
He did, yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, he's played twice for Liverpool. He's been sent off twice.
He was a bit upset. I mean, I did feel for him, but I mean, it was an obvious.
He's only a kid as well, poor lad.
I know. Yeah. Well, that was what he did, really. I mean, I guess he thought people won't get onto the backs of the kids, if they make mistakes, which they didn't really, to be fair. So, but I think it showed just playing, youngsters against experienced players doesn't always, they might be fitter, have fresher legs and all the rest of it, but it's the experience sometimes that counts. And then, on 87 minutes, there was a pass from Lerma, which was picked up by Pino, and he went on to score his first Palace goal, which we thought was really deserved, actually.
Yeah, he took it really well, didn't he? Took it really, really well. And again, it was a nice move to build up to him. And he still had a bit to do, on the edge of the box. Look, he's got 4 players around him.
He's got 4 players around him, yeah.
Fantastic, really good strike. And interestingly, he prior to that game, he'd done the article for yesterday's matchday program, and in that program, he made an apology for the mistakes he'd made so far, the fact that he hadn't scored a goal yet, and they made the point in the article in yesterday's program, no apology needed, and absolutely no apology needed. But when he scored, he went over to the Palace fans with his hands like that, sort of to say, "I'm sorry, but I've now scored for you." So he's clearly. He's clearly quite an emotional type of guy, to be thinking like that and to saying those kind of things. So
Jim,
really pleased for him.
Jim, that goal he's going to do in the world of good, is it not? I mean, he's going to be a confidence player. He's a little bit lightweight on the ball, technically very strong, but I think that goal will do him the world of good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he's had a few opportunities and dragged a few balls past. I think his first game he played, he had a great opportunity. He sort of pulled it past the post. So it was nice to see him score there. I won't agree with you about his strength. I don't think he's got any strength, and I think that's the one thing that we will build him up on, because every player in the Premier League, whatever size they are, have got unbelievable strength in them, and he gets knocked about too easy. So, but that's no problem, I think, because that's just something. He's come from another league, totally different environment, and he'll get used to that. And but he's a good player, and gives the ball away a bit at times, but then he's the type of player that wants to go at people and dribble. So you can't suddenly say, don't do that, because that's probably why you bought him.
Jim, the other point I was going to make with you, as we're lucky to have you on the show, is that he does something that Eze didn't do, okay, and that was track back. He's a bit of a scrapper on the way going backwards as well, yeah?
Yeah, he's probably. I mean, Eze was brilliant, but lots of times he weren't involved in the game. When he got the ball, he was great, but he tended to play in that little area, and maybe he didn't chase back as much. Pino's up and down the park. He still don't really win anything, but he's still there and he makes a nuisance of himself. So yeah, he's ideal replacement, I suppose, and I think he'll get better.
Yeah, I think the thing about him also, Jim, is that whereas Eze was clearly the talisman, the best player that we had, really, I suppose. Pino is I wouldn't say just another player, but he's not that talismanic player, and it feels like there's more of a level playing field for all our players now. There's no one standout. Like we had Zaha, then we had Eze,
Elise, and then Eze.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, you could argue Mateta, but there's definitely that feeling of the team is more important than any individual, and you don't get that everywhere. You don't get that at every club.
Yeah, we haven't got anybody that's an actual star. They all play well and they all do what the job that they're supposed to do. And there's no, I mean, if I was going to pick out a standout player, I'd pick out Sarr, because he's the guy that always seems to run all day, get in behind people and get shots at goal and create something. But in general, I think he's got a great set of players there. They're all good. They all give 100%, and they all get basically 7 out of 10s every game. So that's something that you don't always get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I met up with a fellow Palace fan today for lunch. He's watching. I see his name go through in the chat, Trevor Meadowcroft. He messaged me last night. He said 8 out of 10 for every Palace player yesterday. Good to see you today, Trev. Good to catch up. So yeah, I think we've got players that collectively, as I said earlier, are much stronger together than the individual component parts, for sure. And that's down Oliver Glasner, by the way.
Absolutely. No, all day long.
He's the man. He's the man. So,
I've got a random question for you. When Yaz is finished, I've got a random question for you all in a minute. Yaz, how are you getting on? Have we got to the end?
Yeah, I was just going to say that on the way back, we had a lot of trouble. Lots of the motorways were closed for various reasons. So I think we went on 8 different ones to get back. And I walked back in my house about 10 to 3 in the morning.
And I must admit, I was going to raise that point when you finished anyway. Congratulations to each and every one of you that travelled on a horrible Wednesday night out to Anfield. Fair play to you all. Especially you, Yaz. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Right, random question time. We're going to lose our skipper at the end of the season. We will come on to yesterday's game in a minute, but I'm also asking this question out in the chat. I have the answer written down here. I'm not going to show it to you. I know the answer to the question. Who is going to be our new skipper next season? Off the top of your head. Any ideas?
We get ladies first.
Anybody? Don't mind. You've got that, Yaz.
Well, I think it'll be Max.
Okay, 1 vote for Max. Jim?
Yeah, I'd probably go for him. Steady.
2. Good.
I think the chat agrees with you. Lacroix. That's 3 out of 3. Max Lacroix.
Okay.
You see the way he galvanises the crowd. What he's done. When we win
He gets
games.
it, Ian. He really gets it. And I couldn't agree with you, all of you, anymore. Look at that. The chat has gone mad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 already, and absolutely all day long. It's got to be he's English. He doesn't cover English that greatly. I was watching my post-match interview this morning. He's getting there. He's got a bit of time before obviously it will take effect. But I think Max Lacroix's got to be the leader, isn't he? The only other possibility in my mind would be the goalkeeper, Henderson.
Yeah, I don't like goalkeepers as captains. I mean, Pickford's captain at Everton, isn't he? I think, but I don't think it's. I don't know what you think, Jim. You played the game, but it doesn't feel right, because on the pitch, sometimes the refs need to call the captains over, and if it's up the other end, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? If it's the goalkeeper. What do you think?
A goalkeeper's too isolated, isn't he? Like with the players up in the other 18-yard box, you want your skipper there moaning about free kicks and this not being given. Keeper can't do that. I've never ever agree to a keeper being a skipper.
Okay, George Wagger in the chat. Evening, Georgie boy. I hope you're well, mate. He's advocating Will Hughes. Now, my issue with Will Hughes, and I also understand why you said it, George, but he's not featuring regularly enough for me. And if he's not, he could be the club captain. I get it, okay, but the match day captain, I don't think so. Anybody disagree with that?
There was that. No, I agree with you. I think there was that time, wasn't it, when the captain almost it was almost the captain's curse. They got the armband, then suddenly they weren't selected. You know, Jedinak, and then who's the boy we had in Serbian lad? What was he called?
Milivojevic.
Milivojevic, yeah. It was the same. You know, they had their armband. They played quite a bit as captain, and then they lost their place. And then, you know, Joel Ward was another one, wasn't he? You know, so I think I think a captain of a team should be not necessarily the best player, but someone that's going to play every minute. You know,
Jim,
injury.
You can't name yourself, of course you can't. But who's the best skipper you ever played under? And no, not Jim Cannon. That doesn't work. Okay.
I didn't actually play. I was skipper for 11 years, so
I didn't
really play. Who was skipper? John Sewell. Was John Sewell skipper when I
he was.
made my first game?
Yeah, he was.
And then Ian Evans was skipper. And then when Ian got injured, Terry Venables made me skipper, and I was skipper for 11 years.
So how old were you when you took over the armband?
21? 19, must have been 21.
Pretty impressive, Jim.
Yeah.
Did you win the toss more often than Mark Gahey? Because he keeps losing the toss at the moment. They keep turning us round.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I bet you bloody can. I bet you keep all those shitty stats like that, didn't you? Yeah.
I have got no stats. I've got nothing. If you walked into my house, you wouldn't know I did anything towards
no newspaper clippings anywhere, or
well, they might be in the loft somewhere, but nothing.
What about old shirts? What about old shirts and that stuff?
Shirts, probably my grandsons have got some of them, but I've got nothing on display. I don't believe in it. It's not. I'm what I'm. I don't need a picture on the wall. I remember seeing a thing on Rodgers when he was manager of Liverpool. And he was walking down the stairs. It was like a Netflix thing, I think. And as he walks down the stairs in this very posh house, obviously up in Liverpool somewhere, there was a picture that must have been 8 foot square of him, his forehead, just like. And I thought, I couldn't believe it. I thought, do me a favour. I couldn't have that. Obviously, every time we walk past it.
Jim, there's a lot of love. Jim, there's a lot of love for you in the chat.
You've got to read the chat, Jim. You've got to read the chat.
Lindsay, nice to see you in here, Lindsay. I haven't seen you for a while. I love you, Jim. She says humble. So
he's up. And I love having you on the show, mate, even though you're bloody horrible to me. Right, Ian, crack on with the Brentford game, if you'd be so kind.
Yeah, so having won at Liverpool.
Before we do, what about Eddie's injury? We should cover that off during the Liverpool game. What's the latest on Eddie's injury? Do we know?
Yeah, well, what we've been told by Oliver Glasner is that it's a tear, but it's not as serious as it was first feared, and he will be back after the international break. So we'll miss this next week, but then he's got the break for international football. And then, so for the Wolves game, he could be back in contention. That's what we've heard.
Thank you, mate. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. So, and yesterday, Nick Philpott met up with the lovely Lucy Usher, and they look at them. Don't they look happy together?
I'm telling you now that she's a part of our Red and Blue review, a massive part of the Red and Blue review. And I've got to tell you, that is one wonderful human being. We're very lucky in the background having Nigel, Lucy and Greg. But Lucy Usher, you are the backbone of our team. I love you for everything you do for us. Carry on, mate.
It was good to bump into Lucy, not so much you, but good to bump into you both at East Croydon yesterday after the game. All good. Right, so the games come thick and fast, don't they, guys? Because, look, Wednesday, Saturday, Thursday, Sunday, that's how it is now for Crystal Palace Football Club. And we played just a few short days after playing up at Liverpool, home to Brentford, a team that have been on a good run themselves. Only last weekend, they beat Liverpool in the Premier League. They're in a good run of form themselves. And last season, of course, they did the double over us. So we haven't beaten them for a little while. And I suppose the only big talking point with this team selection probably was the fact that Adam Wharton still wasn't fit enough to play. And whereas a lot of people thought that Will Hughes might come in, it was Jefferson Lerma who got the nod. And we found out afterwards that Glasner had told Lerma 3 or 4 days ago that he would be playing against Brentford. And there he is as the poster boy in the team selection. So Oliver Glasner called it the set play battle. Brentford are really good at set plays. Their throw-ins in particular. They've scored goals from them. And we have as well, of course. So as we just touched on earlier, they turned us round. And I never like that. I don't like it. And I know you don't, Yasmin, either. And Nick's shaking his head for the benefit of podcast listeners. They turned us round. So we had to attack the Homestead end in the first half and not the second. First real meaningful move, Sarr picked the ball up down the right-hand side and attacked with pace. He crossed the ball, but he probably made the wrong decision because there were defenders covering and they got the cross away. Had he had a shot on goal, albeit from an acute angle, then anything could have happened because he kind of either found the net himself or it could have bounced out with pace to someone to knock it in. So I think he made the wrong decision. He looked quite disappointed in himself after that. We then had a move when Kamada was involved. Kamada played the ball to Mateta, who plays Pino wide left, and Pino put a deep cross in to the far post, and Mateta didn't quite connect with it. And there was a half-hearted appeal for a penalty. I think even Glasner was sort of doing this in the dugout, but it was waved away and it wasn't really looked at. And then Kamada had a shot wide of target. It was a nice move down the left involving Mitchell, and he picked the ball up on the edge of the area. And we know that he hasn't scored for us in the Premier League yet, at least. And his shot was well wide in the end, but you can see what he was trying to do. Before we come to the moment, which is the goal, Mark Gahey, I think, was fouled sort of just over the halfway line. And Pino takes a free kick. It's quite deep, it's got a long way from goal. And he plays a crossfield ball, beautiful ball in. And Jeff Lerma, he climbed, he leapt like a salmon, didn't he? He got up really, really high to head the ball into the penalty area. And Mateta still had a lot to do and got his head on it and gave the keeper no chance. And just a fantastic goal.
Ian, can I jump in there?
Yeah, in a minute. Even on Match of the Day, they said you won't see a better header in the Premier League this weekend. Nick.
Okay, Jim, I'm asking you from your professional level, was there a touch of fluke about it?
Fluke?
Did he do, I know he deliberately placed it, okay, but was there a bit of luck with it, the way he jumped, he like skimmed the side, hit the side of his head into the net, or am I being really hard?
No, he twisted his head and thumped it. He knew where he was heading that. It was a good free kick. I mean, Lerma, we talk. Did Lerma play because of his long throws as well? And
okay, I'm glad you've asked that.
But his height that he jumps, I always think that's the one person we get in the box and aim for every game because he's unbelievable in the air. And that head, he jumped a mile for that header. But there was still, Ian said, there's still tons of stuff to do, and it was a brilliant header, absolutely brilliant header.
Can I ask you your thoughts on the? There's a lot of criticism in the press this week about long throws and set pieces, and the game is now, the Premier League is degenerated into a set piece, special teams sort of thing, like in American football. The long throw did go out of the game for quite a long time. Who was that bloke that Stoke used to do it? Was Pesky Salido, was it?
No. It was
Delap. Rory
Delap was another one.
Yeah. Before him, Jim, you'll remember this guy. Played for Chelsea, wore number 10. Ian Hutchinson. Ian Hutchinson could throw a ball, couldn't he? My Lord.
Kenny Sampson could throw a ball to the far post.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. But it's part of the game. I mean, I think fans have got fed up with tippy-tappy football. The amount of games you see where it goes into the midfield, back to the centre half, goes into the right back to the goalkeeper. The fans want to see people getting forward and try. So the long ball, there's different teams in the league now. You know, Brentford yesterday were long ball and high ball, long throw and long ball. That's their game. Their game is based on that. They're not the Thomas Frank team of sort of last season. They've lost a few players, and they'll do all right because they've got big lads. But I think eventually they might struggle. They've got a young manager. He's never really managed before, and I think they could struggle. But the game is changing, and a lot of teams are using as a weapon. Get the ball. It's easier to defend a corner than it is a throw-in because the throw-ins come so flat that it's difficult to deal with. Whereas the corners are come a bit higher, and if you're really good in the air, you can go and attack it.
Yeah.
I saw a stat yesterday, Ian, that the lot from throw-ins, there's an 18% increase this season from goals from a throw-in and last season. Yaz, you wanted to make a point?
Oh, just to say that I really like the long throws. I like them when we used to have that young boy, Richard Harris, used to do it. And it just gives a bit more excitement to the throwing, which usually, you know, they don't know who to throw it to, and they mess around and it goes to the other team. So at least it gets in the box. So I'm all for it, to be honest.
Yeah,
Ian, before I hand back to you, you lot know the answer to this because I said it pre-show. Ladies and gentlemen, the victory yesterday, there was a significance about yesterday's victory. Okay, there is a particular stat that I'm looking for in the chat. There's, Paul Bristow, you may not apply, okay, but everybody else, okay, in the chat, what was the significance of yesterday's result? Ian, back to you.
Yeah, so what's the significance of yesterday's game, wasn't it? And the result of the game?
No, the result of the game.
Result of the game, yeah. Okay, if you know that, put it in the chat. You win a prize, maybe. So we're 1-0 up on the half-hour mark, and Nick was complaining because he couldn't see the boom. He couldn't see the corner flag being kicked from where he was sitting or where he was standing. And but we did get a boom round Selhurst Park for the goal. And Tom Clark-Sam, you have it correct, the answer. The 100th win in the Premier League. Is that right, Nick?
The 100th home win in the Premier League.
100th home win. Okay. Didn't quite get it right, Tom. Sorry, mate. So we're 1-0 up. There was only sort of one other chance really in the first half that's worth noting, and again there was a ball into the box and it bobbled around a bit and it fell to Sarr and he brought it down in his chest and he volleyed it and he didn't have any time to think about it, but it went just wide of the post. So it was a good effort, not far. It was wide of the target, but it was close. We go in, we're 1-0 up and comfy really, and everyone's feeling pretty bullish. Second half, Brentford come out. They never really threatened at all. And, the first thing to talk about really is our second goal of 51 minutes. And this is the long throw. Lerma obviously got 2 assists yesterday, one for the header that we've already talked about and one for the throw-in. And he bungs it in and it's nowhere near any other player apart from Nathan Collins, the centre-back. And for some inexplicable reason, Jim, you can tell us, you played the game, but the guy just brushes the top of his head and goes in the far post, leaves the keeper with no chance at all. 2-0. Happy days.
Happy days did you score, Jim?
How many own goals did I score?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Can't remember. I scored a few. I gave a few away as well, but I don't count them. I try not to count them.
Yeah, but how does a player... How does that affect his game, Jim? He scored an own goal, make it 2-0 to the opposition. How's he feeling after that? Obviously not very good, But...
Yeah, he'll forget that. These things happen, don't it? I mean, he's gone for a header. It's come off the top of his head and luckily for us, went in the back of the net. Sometimes you make glaring mistakes where you shouldn't have done, and maybe you don't want the ball for 5 or 10 minutes, but his job is just to stop the ball going in the back of the net. So... he did a very good job.
Yeah, I think it affected his game, Nathan Collins, because it was him that
gave the ball away just after. Yeah,
on the halfway line. And Ismail Assar picked his pocket, really, didn't he? Yeah. And again, he was a long way from goal, But I thought he's going to score here. I think we all did. I think even the commentator on Match of the Day said, "Oh, is it Sarr in for the third? Oh, is it the post?" And very unlucky. And Collins was sort of bearing down on him by this stage and sort of tugging at him a little bit. And of course, he didn't go down and nothing given. But and then it fell kindly to the defender to clear the ball, whereas it could have fallen anywhere from the post, couldn't it? And Mateta could have knocked it in. So really unlucky not to be 3-0. And that would have given us lots more breathing space, of course. Brentford then had their first effort on target. It was a long ball into the box and it was comfortably dealt with by Dean Henderson. And then he did have to make a good save. I think we've got a picture of this, Nigel, haven't we, this save? There it is. So Dino in full flight. The kind of picture a goalkeeper would like to sign for you if you
exactly. It is one for the cameras. It was
okay,
so an average save.
Guys, we were having a debate pre-show. Tell us in the chat. Do you think this was a good save by Dean Henderson, or do you think he was showing off and it was one for the cameras?
It was average height. It was average speed, and he dived to his left. Okay, it was one for the cameras. I know, Jim, you're about to rip me a new one. Go for it, fill your boots.
No, it was. There's no way they were going to score from that shot. It was a run-in-the-mill save from a very good goalkeeper.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, he didn't have a huge amount to do during the game, so I think that makes it even more credible. The fact that he's not having much to do, and when he is called into action, he's he does the business.
Showboat.
I need to cough.
Showboating, somebody said on there, and John Knox. We will answer your question. His question was, would we make changes for Thursday as we got a big rivalry, John, not derby, rivalry match coming up at the weekend. We'll come to that shortly, mate. Have you finished choking to death in there? Are you ready to go? Carry on. No,
you need more wine, Ian.
Guys, yeah. This is just a proof. This is a live show, right? We don't edit any of this rubbish. We just do it all live. So, yeah, I haven't got any water left either. I need someone to bring me some, but no, it's all right. Don't worry. Right, so, yeah. I think that's all. There's not a lot more to say about the game, really.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Atmosphere. We'll do the stats in a minute, Nigel. From where I was in the lower homes, okay, I thought the atmosphere was okay. It wasn't anything special. We couldn't hear the Brentford fans at all from where we were. Maybe once during the whole game. Jim, from your side of the ground, was the atmosphere a little bit flatter?
No, I thought it was really noisy. I didn't notice any difference. In fact, one point I looked round and I thought, oh, everybody's singing here, all the way along the old stand, all the way around the Holmesdale, that section of the other stand, the half-weight stand. No, I didn't. I thought the crowd was brilliant.
Oh, right, okay. Normally I thought everybody in the old stand...
Did you take your earplugs out?
I was going to say, normally I thought everybody in the old stand is normally asleep by that stage of the afternoon. Yes, you're catching flies. Close that mouth.
In fact, can I say we started off a chant at one point?
Really?
Yes.
Go on, Ian.
Nick, you've got to turn your hearing aid on.
For those that are listening back on to the podcast tomorrow morning, I've got 3 chuckling monkeys sitting in front of me. They're all laughing at me. I'm not going to take any notice of it. Right, where are we going next?
I think seriously though, in terms of the atmosphere, I think part and parcel of it was that I think the Brentford fans are the best. Put it that way. They're not known for their vocal support necessarily. I hope I don't get any grief from Brentford fans watching this. Not they probably would, but I don't think they were very loud. Well, they didn't have much to sing about, really, did they? No. I messaged at half time a Brentford mate of mine I used to work with. So I said, "Are you at Sellers today, Brackers?" That's his name. Anyway, he said, "Sadly, yes. Well deserved your win. We didn't look like scoring. Slow in transition and too much moaning at the ref. On to next week." So that's a Brentford fan for you. Too much moaning at the ref. I thought they did. I thought they moaned all the time at the referee, especially the centre halves and that man, Jordan Henderson, who is probably using his experience in the game and his name to try and intimidate referee. But Peter Banks, who was in the middle yesterday, I think actually quite a good game. He had none of it. And in the end, he ended up booking 2 or 3 of them for dissent. which is the right thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say partly what Ian said, especially Jordan Henderson. Several times he was chasing the ref down, getting really, close to him. One time the referee called over whoever the captain was supposed to be and told him to tell him. And then in the end, he booked him. But I think he should have booked him a lot earlier for how he was behaving. I think he forgot that he wasn't wearing a Liverpool shirt and that actually as a Brentford player, the referee's not going to do anything. So, yeah, but he was really bad. In fact, we cheered when he went off because he just got on our nerves.
It's worth saying also, we haven't spoken about our substitutions yesterday. So on 78 minutes, Kamada and Pino were replaced by Devaney and Hughes. Not bad players to bring off the bench when there are tired legs, of course. Similar type players. And then on 90 minutes, we take off Jean-Philippe Mateta and bring on JD Campo. So take off centre forward, bring on a defender. We're defending a 2-goal lead. So probably says, right, let's shut up shop there and make sure that we win the game 2-0, which is how it played out.
So Palace go through to the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. We now face another tough trip away at the Emirates, and all it does really is it compiles the issues with our very, very congested fixture list. Now, for me, for one, you can't get these congested fixture lists if you're not successful. We've obviously been successful. That's what's caused it. But guys, how do we shoehorn in the Arsenal game? Nigel, have you got that list of fixtures? Ian, perhaps you'll take us through that.
Yeah, okay. So the key part of this, I think, is from the 14th of December onwards when we play Manchester City on the Sunday, because we go to Dublin on the preceding Thursday. And then we've got another Europa game booked, obviously, for the Thursday, the 18th of December, which is our final group game in the Conference League. And at the moment, they've put the fixture in on the Tuesday between the Sunday and the Thursday, which is an absolute nonsense. Now, quite rightly, Oliver Glasner is fuming about this. He talks about non-professionalism. He spoke about the fact that with the Carabao Cup final, they planned for that. So the teams that are in the Carabao Cup final, their Premier League games are moved that weekend. And we were the recipient of that last year because we were due to play Newcastle away on that weekend. And we had to end up going to play Newcastle midweek, having played Manchester City away on the Saturday. You remember we shipped 5 goals in both games. But that's by the by. So if they can move Premier League games for a final, why can't they move them for a quarter-final if there is a fixture congestion? So one solution would be that the Leeds game is moved and we play Arsenal away on the Sunday in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. And that way there's the right amount of time in between games. And then Arsenal would have to rearrange their game against Everton away. Or they're also looking at the possibility of playing in the midweek of between Leeds and Spurs, which is Christmas Eve. Now, there is some kind of precedent set for games being played on Christmas Eve. But, of course, when you play a game on that day, all the transport finishes early. People have got their family things and all the rest of it. I'm hoping it'll either be Christmas Eve or they'll see sense and move the Leeds game, because there must be a midweek in March, April time where they can shoehorn the Leeds game in. Similarly, Arsenal away at Everton. But I think there's an opportunity for them to play that one earlier in the week preceding the one we're talking about. So it's still up in the air, but I think if this was a big club, top 6 club, there wouldn't be any question about it. They'd have moved it by now. They wouldn't even be talking about playing it on a Sunday. He was
Oliver Glasner was saying at his pre-Brentford press conference. I mean, he was Jim. Did you see that pre-game press conference? He was really spiky to the point where I've never seen him like that before. Did you see it at all?
No, but do Arsenal want to play it as well? They must have loads of games as well.
Well, not like us. They haven't got a fixture midweek like we have. The other thing that's worth pointing out here, and I nearly forgot to mention it, is that had we been playing in the competition, the European competition that we qualified for, okay, we would not have this problem, because in that midweek there is no Europa League games and there is no Champions League games. It's only the Conference League that has an extra fixture. that week, that midweek. So the fact we're the only English team in the Conference League, and because we're good, we've qualified for the quarterfinals of the Carabao. Those two things clash.
I think his point he made quite well was the fact that Sky had announced the December fixture list or the TV coverage for December before Arsenal and Palace got drawn together. So had they just waited 2 days, none of this would have happened. It's been set like this because of the TV games. Paul's coming on. Christmas Eve's games away, played at lunchtime, so not feasible with national, worldwide broadcasters won't accept their weekend schedules change. And that's what it's all about. That was the point the manager was making. They set the TV schedules before the draw had been made. Just leave it 24 hours, wait to see what develops, okay, and then set the TV schedules accordingly. And I think he made a good point. Carry on, mate.
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing about this, I suppose, is that we're drawn against another London club. Had it been Newcastle away, it would have been an even worse scenario, frankly, because it's just too difficult to travel at that time. Even the 23rd, would have been difficult. But it's a relatively local game, so that's a good thing. So, Paul, you're advocating the 23rd. Yeah, you're probably right. It could well be, which does mean that both clubs, both Arsenal and Palace, will only have. It'll be 48 hours after their away Premier League fixture. So we play Leeds away on the Sunday.
Yeah.
We'll have Monday, and then the Tuesday we'll be playing this, which is still a bit bizarre.
Very much. Right. So I have a formal apology to make to the listener, okay, or the viewer. I have simply run out of time to be able to shoehorn Kieran Maguire and Kevin Day from The Price of Football onto the show. Life's just got in the way, folks. They're happy to do it. We're happy to do it, but we just can't come up with. They're doing 2 podcasts a week. I'm doing my other radio stuff. There's just not the time to do it. So my apologies. We will get them on. You have my word. We'll get them on for the away fixture. Pre the away fixture, if necessary. We'll do a standalone show for it. But we just simply run out of time with the amount of fixtures and podcasts that we've got to do and they've got to do. So we're going to have to draw the line under that. So talking about that, we haven't even mentioned the upcoming Brighton fixture, guys, next Sunday at Sellers Park.
No, we haven't. Before you move on to that, Nick, I just want to pick up on one comment in the chat. Lee Lockwood has said, play the reserves on the under-21s for the Shelbourne game. Give the seniors a rest. Lee, that's not happening. And I'll tell you why it's not happening. Because even if we'd qualified, I think maybe you mean the Coops game, the last game. If we had qualified already for the Conference League knockouts, right? And he says, right, okay, let's save the first team, play the under-21s in that final group game, and we lose it 3 or 4-0, say. There'll be another club that will complain to UEFA and say Palace have played an understrength team, and therefore we haven't qualified because of that, blah, blah, blah. So too many knock-on effects, I think. I think you can't mess around with UEFA. We've already found out.
And they do like to penalise Crystal Palace, don't they? That same rule that we've been penalised under, you are aware that, by the way, and we're not going to go over old ground, but you are aware they've actually withdrawn it for next season, aren't you? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It's quite crazy, isn't it? It's only, they keep thinking of these new rules just to spite us, don't they?
Exactly. And right, yes. Talking about next Sunday. Does that game hold the same amount of significance as it does normally? I think we seem to be, normally we'd be fully focused on the Brighton game 10 days beforehand, but because of the physical amount of football that we're playing midweek again in Europe, we haven't even spoken about the European game yet, is our focus taken away from the Brighton game?
I think maybe ours has, because we've been busy thinking about other things. I don't think the players will, because I think there's ones there who know how significant it is to us and how important it is to win it. And I'm sure for the ones who didn't know, they'll soon find out. I'm sure they'll watch videos and whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, I must admit, I haven't thought about it that much because I'm just always thinking about the next game, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. That's my point.
One coming. So yeah, I haven't been, not that I worry about it, but you sort of anticipate it, don't you? And think, oh God, we can't lose and all this. So yeah, I think just the sheer number of games means that we haven't been able to give it as much time. But I think on the day, the players will be up for it.
Jim, your thoughts on the Brighton game? Is it? I mean, we know it was a huge game in your day. Is it still? Does it still hold the same level of anticipation for the fan base?
I think it does for the fans more than the players. I think the players, they change all the time, and these players, a lot of these players, Brighton is just another game, but the fans' actions and the way they are on the day will make them realise it's maybe a bit bigger than playing Brentford. Again, it's although it's not a derby, it's a local derby against two teams that basically hate one another. So the fans will generate the atmosphere, and the players will rise to that. But as far as the games come back years ago when Alan Mullery hated Terry Venables, that's all gone. That's all gone. To the players, it'll be another game. They've got to get 3 points.
What about the Alkmaar game, Ian? What changes do we make for the Alkmaar game, if any?
Yeah, I think Sosa will start at left back. I think he has in the other game where he was available for. Other than that, I think we go pretty much full strength. He's rested Richards as well. Maybe plays Canvo instead of Richards. But he's not going to make that many changes. I don't think Wharton starts. I think Wharton has another rest. So it's going to be probably Lerma again. I think Lerma enjoyed his football the other day, so it'd be good to see him back out there. And he hasn't played a lot really at all. Very, very little football up until now. So there'll be 2 or 3 changes for the AZ Alkmaar game. I heard it's the home of cheese apparently. Their place where they come from. So whether they're going to bring any with them or not.
Well, let's hope there's as much holes in their defence as there is in their cheese.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Good one. We didn't even rehearse that, did we? That's very good.
We didn't rehearse it. I know.
Oh, that's brilliant.
You should be paying for this fucking comedy. Yes. Yes.
Sorry. So you asked the question about the Brighton game. I think you've got a point here about the fact that, we're not necessarily all looking forward to it the way we might have done because we've got this European game on Thursday to look forward to first.
Yeah, and that's the point. Yes, can you advocate a situation where he plays Sarr up front to rest Mateta midweek?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Or even what's his name, Uche, could be given a top up front.
But we need 3 points against the Alkmaar, so we really need those 3.
They're one of the better sides, aren't they? So yes, we do. Don't think we can drop too many for this one.
Indeed. Jim, can you see any major changes for Thursday night?
Yeah, you probably rest the goalkeeper. He'll bring, as Ian said, probably maybe Canvo, Uche. He'll make 2 or 3 changes, but not really weakening the side to any degree. I think he needs to win it. I think we've probably got a better chance of winning all our away games than we have winning at home, because I don't think we deal very well when they just put a blanket defence across and
the low block,
which showed in the 2 previous games that we've played, the pre-qualifying and like the other week. So yeah, it'll be difficult. I think he'd rather put a good team out like Mateta up front, get a couple of goals, then bring them off. But I think we'll get the points away from home more than we get at home.
Thank you, mate. And Tony Quinn just said in the chat, they're the informed team at the moment. Well, last time I checked this afternoon, they were playing this afternoon. Alkmaar was losing 2-0. I don't know how that result ended up, but I think it was 60 minutes gone and they were 2-0 down. So maybe they're not as informed as you like to think, Tone. Right, I think we're going to draw the line now. I understand, Mr. Noble, you are hosting the post-Brighton game. Who's on your panel? I understand it's a great lineup.
Well, I think you're probably just going to make the grade, Nick, and join us on next Monday. We return next Monday, the 10th of November, immediately after the Brighton game, and obviously we'll look back on the AZ Alkmaar game and Brighton, of course. Paul Gear, I think Aka the real panel. I think he's back. Tim Richards, I think, is joining us, and I hope we have John Solarco next week. So all fingers crossed he can join us. So it should be a good show. So tune in next week, next Monday, after the Brighton game. Hopefully we'll have another 3 Premier League points and 3 Conference League points to celebrate, and onwards and upwards.
Well done, mate. Jim, as always, mate, thank you for coming on.
No problem.
It'll be a couple of weeks now, if that's all right with you. I will message you. I'm sure you look forward to my messages on a Monday.
I'll speak to John Salako Thursday or Sunday and just make sure he comes on.
Absolutely, Jim. Yeah, you have a word with him.
Good on you, buddy. Yaz, as always, you're a superstar. Thank you for what you do for us. You're brilliant tonight.
Thank you. It's been good to chat to everyone.
Lord Noble, I'll see you next week. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself and everybody connected to this wonderful team, please stay safe. Have a great week. We'll see you for the Alkmaar game, and then we'll see you next Monday post Brighton. Eh? Good night, everybody. Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Up the Palace.
Good night.